Awkward Insurance. I am so excited about the next 3 episodes. We enjoyed the 2022 conference season so much, right, Mac?
Absolutely.
It was so much fun, and we've got a few episodes lined up for you, starting with this episode right here. In June 2022, we were invited to the Michigan Young Agents Conference at Shanty Creek Resort in Michigan. When the offer came in, my mouth dropped and out came the words, yes, or just one word. I mean, it's a lot of A's in there. But then my brain kicked in with logic and I said, wait a second, I've got to check with the team first. So we not only brought the podcast, but Paul Martin, a director here at the National Alliance, and I presented an educational session as well. And our own producer, Mac, also brought a podcasting for beginners session. And after I explained how podcasts could be used to develop leads, Mac delivered information on how to start a podcast with the phone in your pocket and what to do when you're ready to level up. Mac, how much did you enjoy delivering that session?
It was actually really fun, despite being really, really nervous about it. But from what I hear, it went well, and actually a couple people have started podcasts off the back of that, so I must have done something right.
Yes, you must have done something right. And then you kind of sort of did it again in Ohio just recently with...
I did.
Yes, with Ashley Fitz and a couple of other folks. It was on a panel session, and I hear that went really well, too.
Well, that one was even easier. I only had to speak for like 15 minutes that time.
I love it. And I know that others loved it too. Just like you said, we did get some feedback. We actually had Jordan Burns on his own episode here for Awkward Insurance. But Jordan Burns from the Michigan Young Agents, he attended and he came on and did an episode with us. But he, based off of Mac's session, decided to take a leap of faith and joined a podcast as well. So we were so excited to hear that. And that's everything that we love to hear. I think anybody who delivers any kind of session always loves to hear, you know, just what somebody got out of that. And it just makes it all worth it. So I am so excited about today. And we have a wonderful guest today. She is the current chairman of the Michigan Young Agents Association. So if we can get a drum roll. No, I'm just kidding. We don't do drum rolls. It's Miss Leah Robinson. I am so excited to see you on my screen and can't wait to hear your voice in my ears.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to our chat today.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks so much for coming back and talking with us. We have a few clips from the Michigan Young Agents Conference that we can't wait to plug into your ears and see what you have to say about all of that. But how are you doing today?
Well, I'm definitely glad it's Friday. It's a beautiful fall day as we're recording it right now in Michigan. Dustin, you and I were talking about leaves changing, and it's definitely almost peak color season here in mid-Michigan, and it's my favorite time of the year. So I am very excited that it's a fall Friday.
Okay, so on our way to Shanty Creek, I just remember it was my first time ever going to Michigan, and I just remember all the Christmas trees all over the road, and I kept going, look at the baby Christmas trees. So that's all I remember from the drive is a bunch of baby Christmas trees, which Christmas trees are evergreens. So what kind of fall trees turn colors in Michigan?
So we have all the typical, forgive me, I'm not a good plant person. But
you're not is it an arborist? Is that what you're called, an arborist?
At all. And at my personal home, we don't have any trees that change color on our property. We only have like arborvitaes and evergreens. But we have like maples and oaks and redwoods, I'm sure.
So it's all turning beautiful right now. It just started here in Arkansas. I have a little baby maple out back, and it suddenly decided to show its beautiful little, but it's just one branch. One branch is turning red and everything else is still green. It's really weird. Okay, so let's just kind of jump right into it. Tell us a little bit about you and your involvement with the Michigan Young Agents Association. Did I get it right that you're still the current chairman of the association?
So my term ended September 1st of this year. So our fiscal and term years run September 1st to August 31st. So my chair year was September 1st, 2021 through August 31st, 2022. So I'm currently the past chair. So I'll be sticking around until August 31st, 2023. And we have an awesome chair right now. His name is Alec Richmond. And he's already doing a really great job, even though he's been.
He's on our clips for today.
Oh, good. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's going to do a really great job.
That's amazing. So you just kind of stick around to show him the ropes and answer any questions that he might have so that it can just kind of keep up the pace.
Yep. Yeah. Our past chair is really kind of just a trophy role where they sit in the background and advise as needed and step in to help with any advice if it's needed.
How much fun. Awesome. And so what was your most favorite experience of being chairperson in the last year?
It's hard to summarize what my favorite thing would be because it's such an involved year that it's almost like having a part-time job on top of your full-time day job. But just being able to connect and be with everybody in the Michigan insurance industry is fantastic. We plan events throughout the year for networking and professional development and for charity purposes, and just everything from planning to attending and then looking back on the events is great. I'm definitely a people person, so it was a very fun year for me.
You were definitely very lively at the Michigan Young Agents little shindig. I don't know what is that, just a Michigan Young Agents conference? Is that what it was, or is it a shindig?
Well, it's a conference, but we do try to keep it as lively and as fun as possible. So if you thought it was a shindig, then I think that's a great way to dub it.
There was definitely a lot of fun going on. I think my favorite was the kind of the get together on the second night, I think it was. And there was a table of persons playing, I think it was Jenga, but it was one of those really big ones.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. And that silly tower got a lot taller than I expected it to. So
yeah, we've had that Jenga tower for a few years, and we just busted it out again at a networking event we did in September of this year, and it was very fun. And it's always one of those games where if nobody has really started to mingle yet, you just get people to jump on the Jenga game, and once it tumbles down, it's one of those loud games that it grabs everybody's attention and gets them interested in actually communicating with everybody else in the room.
Absolutely. It was really fun. The whole environment was really fun. I missed the risk management tour of the property, but I really wanted to do that. Maybe next time. All right, so let's get into what we did. Like I said, Awkward Insurance got a chance to go, and we kind of made a mess of things. We just went around and asked a whole bunch of questions. And we've just brought them back together to kind of figure out what some common themes were so that we could kind of bring them up today. So let's go into that. You want to hear yourself, or do you want to just go ahead and jump in?
We can hear it. I'm going to cringe over here the whole time, but I just learned that I was my voice was featured on another podcast recently. And in my conversation with that person, I instantly was like, ugh.
I know. No, the very first
to listen to it later. So I'll just your listeners are going to be thankful they can't see me back here cringing.
I know, right? I think the very first episode that I did, not with Awkward Insurance, but here at the National Alliance, or maybe it was on Insurance Town with Keith Sharon. I just remember listening to it going, oh no. Is that really what I sound? Oh no. All right, well, let's get started. Describe the culture of your young agents.
Yeah, our young agents, we're a very tight group. I would say we're a more informal group. We just have a lot of fun together. And as a committee, we're the ones that are responsible for making sure we get education in there as well. So we do focus on education, but primarily we want to make sure that everyone's having fun and enjoying their time together.
Okay, so what do you think about your voice?
Definitely cringe. I'm sorry you all have to listen to me sound like that. I sound a lot better in my own head.
That's amazing. But I mean, that's really what the heart of the Michigan Young Agents is for you guys. I know I felt it. And there's a little bit more to the clip where I actually party crashed the night that we arrived. I wasn't supposed to, but you guys invited me in. So, I guess it wasn't a party crash after all, but you guys had such a welcoming environment. You were also fun and friendly, and I know I've watched several of the events that have happened after the Michigan Young Agents Association conference. And I mean, it's lots of golfing, number one. Do you know how to golf?
Yes, I do golf.
You do. So did you learn how to golf before being in insurance, or did you learn it after you started in insurance?
I started golfing during my first summer internship. So I technically was in the insurance industry, and I had a housemate at the time who was a college golfer. So it was just the perfect scenario of, well, this is going to be happening a lot. So let's go ahead and learn how to do it.
I love it. So yeah, lots of golfing events, and you guys do a lot of charity stuff. For this particular event, you gave back to Fireman's House or something like that. What was it? What was your charity for this one?
It was the Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation. So for the whole year, our goal was to raise $10,000. So we had a fundraiser at conference. We called it the Cooler of Cheer. And people were basically able to buy tickets to win a cooler full of booze and booze accessories.
Booze and booze accessories. That sounds like something from what's the guy? The propane and propane accessories.
The King of the Hill. Yeah.
King of the Hill, yes. Okay, let's jump into our next clips. These are all about various different clips that we got about why that person chose to attend the Michigan Young Agents Conference. Like, what was so special about it for them? What do you hope that the young agents are getting out of this event this week?
Well, hopefully they're getting a passion for the industry because their passion for the industry because they realize, granted, guess what? I can make pretty good money here, right? That's what
one of the only industries where you can make really good money without a college education.
I can make great money. But more importantly, and I always tell people this, is that even though you can make great money, guess what? You got a purpose. You have a purpose, and the purpose is you're going to be able to help people because when they have their worst day, their house burns to the ground. They have a serious auto accident. You're going to be able to say and go there and say, look, we did what we needed to do up front. Don't worry, it's going to be okay. You've got the backing of me and the insurance company that's going to...
And I'm going to be right here for you, right? That's the best feeling as an agent.
Yep. And so I always tell my students that. I said, this is twofold. Most people get it because I want to get money. But then after you realize the money's there, I really get to do good things for people.
Okay, and now if we can pull up Ethan Gross. But why are you here at the Young Agents? Like, you could be at any conference. Why a Young Agents conference?
So I'm here, and what I presented on was how to avoid errors and omissions. And the young agents are just, jumping into their careers and they're learning things. And I started off by saying, there's an old saying, good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment. But you don't have to use your own bad judgment to gain experience. So I shared a bunch of stories of things that I've come across in my 30 years of doing this, where either agents or insureds, different people had made mistakes and how they can avoid those mistakes. We all always need to be learning. And I particularly like working with the young agents because, they still realize, most of them, they have something to learn. The older we get, sometimes we think we already know it all, but we don't.
Well, that's what our organization, the National Alliance, is all about, is learning and helping professionals in this industry get better, to have more success because I'm doing my job better because I know what I'm doing.
Okay, I love both of those recordings. The first one was Tom Humphreys, and he is over risk management at Olivet College and has a ton of college students. And I just saw him recently at the GIS conference. The second one was Ethan Gross with Globe Midwest, and he was there for the Young Agents too. And then, of course, presented a fun little CE topic as well. So I have a couple questions. Do you have anything to add to Tom's statement about finding a purpose and a passion here in the insurance industry?
Yeah, Tom is the perfect person to talk about that. He is the director of insurance risk management at Olivet College. So he's responsible for around 100 students every year, getting them to find their purpose and hopefully stick to an insurance career for the rest of their lives. And He's obviously very passionate about the industry, and his passion spreads to others. I had him as a professor when I went through Olivet, and I actually met my husband sitting in one of his classes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Tom and I go way back, and he's the best at just sharing his passion for insurance.
Yeah, I really loved that he brought that up about finding your purpose and your passion here. Well, let's move on to Ethan. We heard Ethan say a couple of different things. One of the ones that really stood out to me was that good judgment comes from experience. Experience comes from bad judgment, but you don't have to use your own bad judgment in order to gain your judgment. So that was one of the things that I was like, that's a lot of judgment in one sentence for, starters. And then the tail end of that was that he was basically saying that young agents are spongy and ready to learn. And sometimes, the older we get, especially if we're more experienced in the industry, we're less spongy and we get maybe kind of stuck in the, I know everything already. I don't need to learn anything else or, whatever. So what do you feel about that in terms of, I don't know, maybe what is a bad experience that you learned from either of your own or somebody else around you? And then is there something that you feel or could say to somebody who might be a little stuck in the, I know everything already?
Yeah. So I'll start off with Ethan came and did a great job for us teaching a CE class on errors and omissions, which errors and omissions and ethics can be kind of a dry and unpopular class that not a lot of people want to take. So having him and the personal experience that he could draw off from was just great and made the class a lot more involved and interesting than just somebody up there telling you this is right, this is wrong, don't do this, it's okay to do this, that type of interaction. So the young agents, we try to come up with programming that is interactive because, as you said, young agents, we're supposed to be spongy. So it's better to build those good habits early, and why not do it at a conference where you're surrounded by a bunch of peers that probably don't have as many mistakes under their belt as other people in their agency. So it's just a bunch of people at the same career level together, learning together.
Absolutely. There's another clip I want to follow up with that kind of leads into the learning from mistakes. And even, maybe once you're kind of in your career, maybe you're a little less spongy or maybe just kind of resistant to learning. And one of the things that I harp on a lot, particularly with young agents, when I talk to them about risk assessments or kind of really understanding the coverage that they're selling, they oftentimes just focus on the deck page and they don't go a ton deeper than that. If they do go deeper, the deepest that they might go is based off of the little cheat sheets that you get from carrier reps as they come in and kind of give you some marketing tips and tricks and whatever. But that still doesn't really dig into policy language. So let's pull up or let's listen to what Ethan Gross has to say next.
The fun coverages for me are claims, because I'm a insurance geek as well, are finding that coverage and saying, hey, here's how it applies that somebody else didn't think about to protect somebody who was not going to get paid. So, an example was one of our adjusters had a call from a car dealership owner, and they were talking about this person's claim. They own, I don't know, maybe 15 or 20 car dealerships. They also owned a bunch of car washes that service the public as well as their dealerships. And he said, I don't think you guys can help me. I only had $600,000 coverage on my building. The insurance company paid me limits and said, sorry, you're underinsured. So the person that works for me said, is there anything we can do? I'd like to help this guy. I said, get me the policy. Let me read it. He said, yes, we can help him. And I called the insured. I said, give me a chance. I think I can get you everything you're owed. And he said, well, I have no insurance. I said, look, you've got nothing to lose. If I get you money, you pay me. If I don't, you pay me nothing.
So Ethan Gross is an adjuster, and adjusters are kind of the most skilled, particularly the really good ones, the most skilled at diving into coverage and interpreting it. But like I said before we played the clip, independent agents don't go that deep. And so sometimes when they're doing those coverage comparisons by the deck page or just those little marketing cheat sheets that you have, you could really be giving up some important coverage that you haven't discovered because you didn't read the policy and don't know the difference between, one policy's clause and another policy's clause. How long have you been in insurance again?
I graduated with my degree in 2016, but was working part-time before that. So it's in 2023, it'll be 10 years.
How long do you feel like did it take you to get to the point that you could look past the surface level and really be able to dig in and not only dig in and understand the coverage that you're offering, but maybe even talk about if you've gotten to the point where you can explain some of that coverage to your client quickly because they honestly don't want to hear about that stuff. They just want to know that it's there, and they don't even know what it means when they know that it's there. So how long do you think it took you to get to that point? And then maybe what are some quick tips or tricks that you have found in being able to discuss these different coverage points that aren't on the deck page with your clients?
Yeah, it probably took me a good 3.5 years before I felt truly comfortable. As an independent agent, you have a double-edged sword of having access to as many companies as your agency wants to be appointed with and can be appointed with, but at the same time, they all yes. So they're all different, and it kind of is it can be your saving grace or your downfall if you're not paying attention and you're not staying up to date on what your companies are doing and changing forms every year. I'm very lucky that our agency is very on top of what we do, and we have monthly meetings with our commercial lines staff where we go over bulletins and memos from the insurance companies. And that has helped me a lot because it brings up questions internally in our agency first so that we kind of have some background, or if we are unsure about what an insurance company is changing, we talk to the marketing rep or the underwriting department and get a little bit more information on what it all means.
That's great. And I kind of am sad that I missed his little CE event because we had some other conversations, and I don't know if it came up during his CE event or not, about the most awkward claims scenario that he went through, or the most difficult, I think, is what he ended up settling on. And it had to do with game hunting. And I was so like, I don't do game at all. So forgive my language, but the dead bodies on the walls, how much do you value the dead animal bodies on the walls if, the home goes up in flames? It was really interesting. So I'm so happy that Ethan got to go there. Now, we did get a few more clips from Michigan Young Agent attendees that came, and one of whom I said is Alec Richmond, who's your current chairman. So we've got him coming up, and Alec Richmond is with Richmond Agency. We also have Joanna Dresden with Hartland Insurance Agency, and she was an absolute joy to be around. I enjoyed her the entire time. And then we're going to end it with, I believe it's Caryn Bedford. So if we could go ahead and pull those up, Mac, let's start with Alec.
We have Alec Baldwin. I'm sorry, that's not true. We have Alec Richmond with the Richmond Agency. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. And how long have you been in insurance?
I've been in insurance for 3 years now.
So you're kind of, if I'm right, young agents are under 40 or less than 5 years in the in the industry, right?
You got it.
So you're fixing to age out.
That's right. Yep. Nope. So I'm under that 5 years. But I like to tell people, insurance is in my blood. I'm a part of a family agency. So
I would have never guessed that with the name of your agency.
Yep. So this is our 76th year. So it's been around for quite some time, and I've always been surrounded by it.
What are you enjoying about being at the Michigan Young Agents Conference?
Oh, it's such a blast. I just love meeting new people, young agents, people in the industry, just encouraging people to, take advantage, get out there, see what being an independent agent's about. Just meeting the people, it's awesome.
Where are you from?
I'm with the Hartland Insurance Agency.
And how long have you been in the industry?
I've been in the industry for just over 10 years.
So, wow, you have a lot of knowledge to impart on these babies that are here today.
Well, I don't know. Sometimes they're teaching me, so.
That's good. So what's the purpose that you get out of a Michigan Young Agents Conference?
Honestly, it is meeting the people and then getting to reconnect with those that we already know. I will say we have one of the best groups in the nation, I think. Big I is pretty amazing.
What are we looking forward to the most this week? We have CE events. We have fun stuff going on. We're just here for the wine.
Well, we just did it. We just did 9 holes of golf. That was great.
One final clip about attending events at the Young Agent Michigan event. We're going to hear from Caryn Bedford and not only understand why she enjoys YA events, but begin to hear about the CE teaching events offered.
I am here with Caryn Bedford. Caryn, introduce yourself for me because I am going to get it all kinds of wrong.
Well, it's nice to be here with you, and I work at the Big I, Michigan. I'm the Chief Learning and Talent Officer.
And she's invited Awkward Insurance out here, and we're so excited. So she's doing her best right now to screw up everybody's golf game because she just went out to hole 9 and told them that they were going to be interviewed next. I can't wait to see how their shots are.
Well, somebody just got it in the hole, so I think they're doing all right.
So the Michigan Young Agents Conference, you guys do this every year. What is your favorite part of the Young Agents Conference?
There's just such great positive energy. We have so many people that they're so enthusiastic about it. And when they come together from all around the state and they're just having fun, both our agents and some of the representatives from all the carriers.
And I hear you're teaching at this one. Is that normal for you? Do you usually teach?
No, this will be the first time that I've taught at this type of event, and I'm really excited about it and talking about it. The title is Conflict or Cohesion.
Why do you feel that's important for your young agents?
There's so many areas that they are involved with that could just generate a lots of conflict in an office or even with their customers.
Well, if that isn't the gosh dang honest truth, conflict with coworkers and customers, I think that transcends every industry, though. But there were several events that you guys had at the Michigan Young Agents Conference. So there was Ethan Gross and Stuart Dorff with tips on avoiding E&Os, risk management tour of the Shanty Creek Resort with Tom Humphreys from Olivet. I really wanted to attend that. It was a really interesting resort. I don't know about you, but in my room, there was a microwave, an original, hasn't been updated with a manufacture date of 1985. It still had hard push buttons, not just touch, but it was the most interesting thing in my room, other than the hot tub that was smack dab in the middle of my room. That was pretty interesting too. But you also had, let's see, who else did you have? We had our own education session, Protecting Clients as a Team. And then Mac had his session on podcasting for beginners, Caryn's session on conflict and cohesion, and then Alex Silva, I think, and Alyssa Bellinger on self-leadership. What kind of feedback did you get on the topics? Or if you haven't gotten much feedback or whatever, how did you select or decide what kind of topics you wanted to bring to your young agents in June?
So we send out a survey after every conference, just so while the programming is fresh in people's minds, we wanted to hear what they liked, what they wanted to hear more of, what they could have done less with. And I think this mix of both professional development courses that weren't filed for CE, as well as some classes that were filed for CE, was the best mix possible. That's what showed up in our survey results. So we were very pleased that we were able to do that this year. And I think going forward, we're going to try to do some of the same things where there is a necessary evil of in the insurance industry. You have to get your continued education credits every few years, but also as a professional and as a person, you need to continue to develop yourself. So especially this year with the class that Caryn taught, it was kind of loosely based on the DISC personality traits. And then Alex and Alyssa, they are Dale Carnegie instructors. So two, I think, fairly big names in every industry, not just the insurance industry, of DISC personality traits and Dale Carnegie. So that was a really big draw for a lot of people that maybe didn't need continued education credits. And then we just always like to have the continued education because everybody needs it. And with being a young agent, it's hard to find the time when you're trying to also do your day job.
I think it's a great benefit when you go to the conferences like this to be able to get some CE. It kind of gives you, not only a refresher in your professional life, but it gives you something for your professional life. Like, you didn't go and come back empty-handed, basically, is what it's all about. As a young agent yourself, what types of topics do you think young agents are going to be most interested in, maybe in the year coming up or maybe the next few years?
Mm-hmm.
If there's anybody that's listening, basically, is where I'm going with this, that's thinking about different types of topics they could present to their young agents. What do you think young agents are most interested in right now?
Emerging trends is huge, especially for us younger people that are able to stay up to date on emerging trends a little better than some of our coworkers that might be.
What types of emerging trends are you talking about? What do you mean?
Coming up with the NFTs, blockchain, and trying to ensure all of that, and the cryptocurrency. I'm still trying to wrap my head around all of that. So
don't get me started on those subjects. This will turn into a whole nother podcast.
Yeah, the obscure complexes that aren't day-to-day and physical will be huge. Cyber insurance is never going to go away, but I think there are a lot of opportunities out there for people to get education on that outside of conferences that our state would host. So I think more focusing on the NFTs, blockchain, cryptocurrencies, that realm of things.
I love hearing that. Okay, so there was another kind of topic. So that was all those clips were kind of more geared towards why attend a young agents event, why they were there, what they were looking for, how much fun they had. I absolutely loved what Alec had to say about meeting new people and encouraging others to get out there and see what being an independent agent is about. I hope he carries that forward into his term as a chairman. And then Joanna Dresden saying that she was there also to meet people and to reconnect. That's really what all of that, because we're in a relationship business. So that's really what these conferences are all about. And I enjoyed every minute of it. So our next theme here, though, is one that I truly enjoy, and I hope that more people understand, especially as we spend a lot of time talking about a shortage in the talent pool for the industry, but then sometimes we get so cutthroat in competition. So this particular theme is friendly competition. We're going to start with a clip from Paul Martin, and he's here from the National Alliance again. And then follow with a clip from Kathy Baldwin with J.M. Wilson, MGA. So, Mac, let's pull up Paul's first.
Insurance is a really weird industry because, and I say this after all my experience, it actually is in your interest to be friends with your competitors.
Yeah.
I don't know another industry like that where you're as friendly with people you compete against.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably the reason behind it is that we're such a tightly regulated industry that it's just evolved, because it was true 100 years ago that their associations were there. There's pictures of them and all lined up in a big photo shoot. And so it's just been the culture. And what you're going to find as your career goes on and you get past the young agent phase is that those friendships you make will last you your whole life.
Yeah.
And there'll be people here. You'll be at people's funerals.
Yeah.
I'm serious. 40 years from now.
Yeah, I was going to say, hopefully many years from
Yeah.
now.
That was your voice in there.
Yeah. I remember her saying that and being like, oh God, I hope I don't have to go to any of these people's funerals anytime soon.
So you said competitors, which brings something up for me that we talked about earlier today. Paul was on a podcast with me earlier, and we talked about how amazing it is that this is one of the only industries where we can be competitors and still be successful with everybody and lift others up and have them be just as successful as we are. So how are you feeling that, like you said, you're so happy to be out here with competitors and everything? Describe that.
So yeah, you hit it right on. This is a relationship business, and it's not only the relationships that we have with our customer, but with everybody in the industry. And there's so much insurance business to go around that why would we be cutthroat competitors when we can be friendly competitors?
Right?
And
when we're friendly competitors, we get more accomplished together and this industry becomes so much better. I love you. Thank you so much for talking with Awkward Insurance today.
Awesome. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks.
I love her.
She's really great.
She really was. So what are your thoughts on the idea of the insurance industry being big enough for all of us? Have you run into kind of any brick walls where you felt like either somebody was taking your client or you took theirs and kind of had some feelings or thoughts about that? What are your thoughts on the industry being big enough for all of us?
There's always going to be some sort of give and take between agencies, insuring some clients for some years, and then whether it's on the agent's part or the client's part where they go in their separate ways, there's always going to be some of that. But I think what Kathy said is true, that there's plenty of business to go around. I mean, if you just walk to your local downtown or to the next city over that's a little bigger and see how many insurance agencies are within a town, it's crazy how many there are. And we're all doing just fine. We're all out here thriving and surviving. So I agree with her.
I love that. Thriving and surviving.
We're thriving and surviving.
Yeah, I mean, just like I said before, we talk about there being a talent shortage in the industry, which to me means we can't kill ourselves competing because there simply aren't enough of us anyways, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we'd make much better use of our time ensuring that those of us that are here are giving to the industry in a way that gives it a good name so that, one, we don't succumb to the technology that's trying to take over us, which is, they're coming to find out they can't take over independent agents as much as they thought they could. And number two, we gain more career interest in new generations or career changers, or even rejuvenate the path of those of us that are already here. Because if we make it so ugly and cutthroat and yucky feeling, we're not only going to end up with a lot of people leaving, but we're not going to get a lot of people coming in. And that is going to kind of lend its way to what AI or virtual assistants or technology in our pockets can do for consumers, because nobody's going to want to join us in this mission to help others with their insurance and really make sure that the product fits them. So I did really love those two little clips. Those were some of my favorite. We have one final clip for the closing of the podcast. We're going to close with Jordan Burns. I have a love-hate relationship with this guy. He made fun of me for saying fixin'. Now I am so self-conscious about it every time it comes out of my mouth. But he is with Beyond Insurance, and let's go ahead and clip him in, and then I have a couple of questions to ask you to just kind of close this out here.
All right, who am I talking with right now?
Hi, Dustin. I'm Jordan Burns with Beyond Insurance.
It's nice to meet you. How long have you been in the industry?
7 years in the industry. I've owned this agency for the last 2 years.
You're the owner, and you're here at the Young Agents Michigan Conference. How are you enjoying it?
I love it.
Amazing. When did you start your agency?
May of 2020, right during the pandemic time.
Okay. So, honestly, that's the most amazing thing about our industry is how resilient it can be, that you started your business when the world was falling apart and you are still standing in front of me right now.
2 years in.
So most awkward moment that you've had while being in the insurance industry, it can be a claim, it can be a customer interaction, it can be an employee situation.
I had a client send me their driver's license picture, and at the bottom was a screenshot of all their other personal pictures. And they should have looked at that before they sent it to me.
Oh, no. Wow. What did you do?
I didn't do anything. I didn't know what to do.
Oh, how very kind of you.
They'll see it later, right?
Right. What do you wish you would have known in your first year that you know now and didn't know then?
I wish I would have known just how difficult it would get into hiring. From owning my own agency, I thought obtaining carriers.
You thought they would just come? Like build it and they will come?
I thought they would just.
Oh, man. You poor thing.
Isn't that cute?
That is cute. That's really cute.
Thanks. What else did I know? What else did I wish I would have known?
So how'd you overcome that, though? Or have you?
I have. I've overcome it with time. I've overcome it with different benefits offerings. And I've overcome it with more letting people know that they can achieve their dreams at Beyond. That's truly what it is.
That's your slogan right there, isn't it?
Our slogan is honesty is our only policy. So that's how you know I'm not lying to you.
I just love him. He's so funny.
Yes. He's always the person that's there that has something good to say about you to make you feel better. He's always that person.
He's awesome. What do you think about what he said? Okay, first of all, what did your face look like as you heard him say somebody sent a picture of their driver's license? So I'm guessing it was like a screenshot of their phone and all their other pictures underneath it.
Yeah, that's a dangerous situation that they got themselves into. And I was a little shocked. Because, of course, I'm picturing the worst in my head.
What did you think about the struggle that he had, that he thought, wasn't he so cute? How he thought that he could open an agency and people would just flock to come work for him. And he said that he's worked his way through it. What do you think about that?
Yeah, he is a perpetual optimist, which is great and a really good character trait for a business owner to have. But it is just tough out there, especially starting out in a pandemic. You can't really have a physical presence when state and federal are mandating everyone to be from home. How do you really trust somebody that you've never met as an employee with thousands of dollars worth of equipment for them to work off of? That's tough. And I'm really proud of him for overcoming that. And from the sounds of it, he has a really great, not so little operation anymore starting up, and he's doing a great job.
I didn't have a chance to ask him on his podcast, but I would have to bet that being part of a network like the Young Agents Network, and then hopefully evolving that into just staying involved with the Big I, really helped him figure out, the path there. So let's just wrap up with a couple of questions. What's the most awkward moment in your career?
Oh my gosh. So I can't believe I'm even going to tell this story, but this is so super awkward. But so early on in my career, I would get nervous, and so I would get kind of pit sweaty. And I had seen a hack online where if you take liners and you stick them on your clothes, in your armpit, that will soak up the sweat, and you won't have to worry about sweat showing through your shirt. Well, I was at a prospect meeting, and I went to go shake their hand. And thankfully I had a long sleeve blazer on, but I felt something down by my wrist. And I was like, oh no, I need to get out of here as soon as possible because I was no longer soaking up sweat in my armpit.
No, that's kind of like along those lines of, is it a hack or a fail? Yeah. And that sounds like it was a total fail.
Yes.
Extra super sticky strength next time. Oh my gosh. How embarrassing. What did you do? Did you run? Did you hide? Did you never go back?
I went back, and they were a client after that, thank goodness. But I never, I tried to hold myself together. I feel like I didn't let it show that I was dying inside and completely embarrassed, even though nobody else knew what was going on. But I just ran out to my car, not actually ran, but, quick stepped out to my car. And as soon as I got far enough down the road, I was like, whew, deep breath, we're all good.
Far enough down the road. I can just imagine you. That's so funny. Okay. And one thing you wish you would have known in your first year that you know now and didn't know then?
I wish I would have known that it's okay not to know everything. If you don't know the answer, it's better to tell the person that you'll check on it and get back with them versus trying to fumble your way to an answer. First of all, because you don't want to tell your client the wrong thing, but also it's okay to come back to them later with a very valid answer instead of a piece together, just hastily put together answer.
Yeah, I think I've heard that as a reoccurring, first year wish I would have known among professionals in the industry. And I don't even know that that's specific to the insurance industry, to be honest. How does in your first year or your first time saying it, because it's all about practicing words to me. You can have the words in your head, but if you haven't said them out loud to where you get the right syntax down, it sounds weird the first time it comes out of your mouth. So what do you say when somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer to?
I just be honest with them and tell them, I need to check on this so that I'm getting you the correct information. You can absolutely put your own verbiage and spin on whatever that is. I think it's a little tacky if you say, oh, that's a great question. I don't know that. Let me get back with you. But just be honest with them. Tell them, I'm going to check on this first before I give you an answer, and let them know when you'll have the answer by.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. So just like you said, develop your own language on that, but make sure you practice it before you have to say it for the first time, or you're going to fumble over your words and you're really going to sound like you don't know what you're talking about. So Leah, thank you so much for joining us on Awkward Insurance today. Thank you so much for having Awkward Insurance at the Michigan Young Agents Conference. I know we had a blast. If for nothing else than the 1985 microwave that was in my room. I think every time we went down and had dinner or lunch or something with somebody, there was always a new discovery in somebody's room. I was getting some serious Shining vibes, turning corners around Shanty Creek. I loved it. It was a whole lot of fun, including the drive up there with all the baby Christmas trees and everything that came about with that. So thank you so much for having us, and thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me, and I'll have to send you an updated picture of our fall tree so that you can see how beautiful Michigan is in the fall.
Yes, thanks so much. All right, you guys, toodles. Thanks for hanging around and listening to another awkward conversation in insurance. Stay tuned for new episodes from Awkward Insurance wherever you listen to your podcasts. And be sure to check out the National Alliance on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, or at scic.com. Now go forth and be awkward. Toodles!